You are listening to The Brian Craig Show podcast, broadcasting from sunny South Florida. Brian is joined by his wife and co-host, Kathy. Follow Brian on social media at briancraigshow.com. And now, Brian and Kathy.
Welcome to the program, everyone. I'm Brian Craig, always joined by my wife and co-host, Kathy. Thanks so much, everyone, for tuning in. Well, as always, we've got a lot to cover today. The amount of news and information that has been breaking every day, it's almost like every hour there's something going on. And we're not even in the full presidential election cycle yet because there's really a struggle going on for the future of this country. And, you know, remember what President Lincoln said, can the country survive half slave, half free? That's kind of what's going on now. Are we going to be slaves of the donors, China, who's bought off our politicians, and the Washington Beltway insiders, or are we going to be free? And that's what this whole struggle is about. I want to start with this clip of Steve Bannon today on the War Room. You know, Steve Bannon's amazing. I love Steve Bannon. He's super cool. I ran into him at Turning Point USA.
Is he tall?
No, he's not.
Really, I thought he'd be tall.
No,
for some reason.
And when I ran into him at Turning Point USA, this was insane. What happened? I was talking about how when we went through the Secret Service checkpoint, they went through our wallets and everything. They took all our devices and our wallets and everything. And I went through the Secret Service security with Steve Bannon. And because they had my phone, they had everything, I couldn't take a picture. And of course, he got out a little bit ahead of me.
That would have been so cool.
And he had a detail, with him,
yeah,
and
for sure,
and everything. And
they all seem to kind of travel with an entourage and like at least one security guy.
Oh, he had more than one.
Yeah,
and he's super cool. I mean, they're talking everything. I just didn't have my phone I couldn't believe it. The Secret Service had my phone. They had his phone. They had his people's phones. It was insane. But Steve Bannon,
why did they take your phone? I wonder.
I
mean, what's the security risk with a cell phone?
I don't know. I mean, I don't know. I don't know. I guess they want to make sure there's no cocaine in it, like at the White House.
In a phone?
I don't know. But it was
can't hide anything.
It was really awful. It was awful because that was a big moment. And Steve Bannon's brilliant. I got a clip of him I want to play in a moment.
Yeah.
But the highlight of President Trump's first campaign was when Steve Bannon had that press conference with President Trump right before the debate between President Trump and Hillary Clinton. He had Juanita Broderick, Kathleen Willey, Paula Jones.
That was the best.
The grown-up woman who was raped as a child by two adult men, and Hillary Clinton represented the kitty rapist that raped her. Now she's grown. Did I leave anybody out? I think it was, and President Trump. And they were sitting there at a table. Paula Jones was wearing a tracksuit, like she was in The Sopranos or something, and it was beautiful.
Yeah, she did look like that.
It was
awesome.
Beautiful, and I remember Steve Bannon with his back up against the wall in the corner of the room, just grinning ear to ear, and this is the most brilliant campaign guy.
That was one
ever.
of the most epic.
Oh, it was insane.
Badass moves I've ever seen in a political campaign.
It was insane.
I mean, that threw Hillary
and
off.
He's brilliant. I love Steve Bannon. So today on the War Room, let me just play the clip and then we'll talk about it, because obviously every idea of Steve Bannon is brilliant, and there's a bigger picture going on, because Steve Bannon, he's like Trump. He's playing that 5-dimensional chess. Like on Star Trek, it was tri-dimensional chess. They're playing 5-dimensional
it's
chess.
Like on a whole other level.
I mean, he's at a level, Steve Bannon, that most mortal people are not at. So here's Bannon today.
And I think get 55% or more of the country. And I think if somehow it worked out, you could get Kennedy as a running mate, and I don't know, that is far from even technically can happen because of the structure of the Democratic and Republican parties and ballot access and all that. You can get 60% or higher than the country and win a massive landslide.
Okay, so he said that if he could run President Trump, he's talking to President Trump there in the War Room today, if he could have Bobby Kennedy Jr. as his running mate, he could get 60% of the vote. Now, I don't think that Steve Bannon intends on Robert Kennedy Jr. being Trump's running mate. First off, that would involve him switching parties, and I don't think a Kennedy...
Would he have to switch parties?
He'd have to switch parties because of the convention. Yeah, sure, you have to get nominated at the convention. So
he's not going to do
so
that.
I don't think a Kennedy has it in their DNA to switch from Democrat to Republican.
No, he would never do
That's
that.
too much of their DNA. And someone like Robert Kennedy Jr. is trying to take back the Democrat Party from these lunatic radicals that don't even know what gender they are. But what I think Bannon's doing, Bannon still works for Trump. And when he's talking about these things, he has the MAGA movement, its best interest at heart. And at some point, Robert Kennedy Jr. is going to have to drop out of this race. They're not going to let this guy get the nomination. And when the convention is over and they nominate probably, Pops, the big guy, the hair sniffer, Biden, Bobby Kennedy's going to be a free agent. And what's he going to do, right? Is he going to go third party and just yap, or is he going to go on or is he going to go on the campaign trail with President Trump and start speaking at all the rallies, rallying people behind Trump? And I think what's going on here is I think Steve Bannon is on a move to recruit Robert Kennedy Jr. not to run for vice president
into the MAGA fold,
but into because a lot of what he talks about, President Trump is all about. They're on the same page on so many things, and
because a lot of people don't realize the old Democratic Party, the Kennedys were very conservative compared
on most
to
things.
Today. I mean, if you looked at John Kennedy's platform, he was pro-gun, and anti-abortion, and he was very, more Republican than Democratic for sure, especially now. I don't even know what the Democratic Party is anymore.
President Kennedy was a lifetime member of the NRA, and
he was a war hero.
And Robert Kennedy Jr. is not going to be happy, especially after they won't give him Secret Service protection. It's just he's going to be looking for a place to go, and I think that they're going to recruit him, and I can see him on the campaign trail. See, this is the thing with Robert Kennedy Jr. The Democrats, of course, love anybody named Kennedy, but it's a weird thing how popular Robert Kennedy is with MAGA people because he is. I mean, he is so popular with MAGA people, and he would cause a big disruption. He would be to the Democrats if he was out there speaking for Trump at MAGA rallies.
Well, he would, and I can see him doing that or running as an independent, as a third party, because I think, like you said, they're not giving him Secret Service. And I think Biden is going to piss him off enough where he might be like, you know what, screw this guy. I'm going to really mess with him. And that would be a death blow to that.
But you know what, Kathy?
Not that I think he's going to win, but that would be devastating.
He might go third party or not. Think about it. When the convention's over and Bobby Kennedy doesn't have the nomination and he has this opportunity to go on the road to the Trump rallies and speak to 100,000 people every day and be on television doing it to get his message out, I could see him doing it.
I don't know about that.
Oh, yeah. I think he will. If you watch him speak and do interviews, I can see Bobby Kennedy out there at the Trump rallies, and that would be an amazing thing.
Okay, so Brian predicts he will do speaking for Trump.
It's possible.
At rallies, and I predict he will run as a third party.
Well, he could do both. He could do both because if he
Tell
ran,
us what you think.
If he ran as a third party independent guy, he would be siphoning off Democrat votes. So he could run as a third party and still speak at the Trump rallies.
Trump's not going to let him speak if he's running as a third
party.
See. He could take votes away from him.
Maybe, but I doubt it. I think that Steve Bannon is planning a. I know this is, like I told you, the 5-dimensional chess. There are many steps ahead. Steve Bannon is planning a recruitment effort for Bobby Kennedy after he doesn't get the nomination.
What if Trump gave him a position in the cabinet?
Absolutely.
What would be a good?
I would put him in charge of dismantling the deep state. That's what I would do. Make him
create a new position.
They could make him one of those czars. First off, this is what I would do if I were Trump and Bannon. I'd go to Bobby Kennedy and I say, you come. We want you to come on the campaign trail. We want you to speak at the Trump rallies. We want you to be a part of the MAGA movement. And right after I'm inaugurated, I'm going to immediately sign an order declassifying all of the Kennedy assassination files for both your father and your uncle. There will be no redactions. Everything will be released. Right. And you will be in charge of distributing that to the public. You'll be in charge of the declassification of all the Kennedy assassination files for both your dad and your uncle. Mm-hmm. And I think that would be amazing. And I think Robert Kennedy Jr. would be all over that. Now, Ron DeSantis. Oh,
can we do a show without? We can't even do a show without talking about how bad things are going, because every day
for DeSantis,
it's something new. I mean, it's just a train wreck for this guy.
We've got to talk about Ron DeSantis,
oh my goodness
because
gracious.
Before long, we're not going to have much to talk about because his campaign's about over.
He's going to limp. Forgotten.
He's trying to limp through this debate, and he had a big disaster today, which I'm going to share with you in a moment. But if you look at his presidential campaign, he has not had one good moment. Okay, no, if you remember the launch on the Twitter Spaces with Elon Musk, remember it didn't work, right? There were technical problems. So there has not been one moment of good news for Ron DeSantis on the campaign trail. It just hasn't happened. And today something happened that was really beautiful, and this is a death blow. And I did not even know that he was working on the DeSantis team. Ed Rollins worked for President Reagan, and Ed Rollins is respected by everyone. I mean, he's got all that Reagan connection, and he is respected by everyone. I did not know that Ed Rollins was working on the DeSantis PAC, and he went on CNN today. He quit working for Ron DeSantis. He just quit. And when Ed Rollins speaks, people listen. I had no idea he was working on this DeSantis campaign at all. He was working for the PAC.
Very interesting.
And not only did he quit, he went on CNN and talked to Allison Camerata, who likes to hold hands with men she's not married to at parties.
She can do way better than Jeff Zucker. My goodness. What is this guy?
Anyone can do better. He's like as attractive as Harvey Weinstein.
Unreal.
Yeah, but Ed Rollins went on CNN today with Allison Camerata and gave a detailed analysis of Ron DeSantis as a man, as a candidate, how his campaign is going, and also explained why he's leaving.
Yeah, it's bad.
And this is more than a soundbite. I want to go through this because this is just a brutal takedown of Ron DeSantis like I've never heard before.
By somebody who he does not want to down, believe me.
Ed Rollins is respected by everyone.
Yes, absolutely.
Everyone. In fact, he's one of the few people. Ed Rollins is one of the few people that could work for DeSantis where MAGA people won't be like, okay, you're done.
Right. And I've noticed whenever he's on an interview, when he's on a panel of people, he's like one guy that nobody ever yells at or argues with.
Or interrupts.
You know what I mean? Or interrupts.
No,
like when he's on a panel, even with crazy liberals, when he talks, everybody listens and does not argue with this guy because that's how respected he is.
So let me play. This is Ed Rollins with Allison Camerata talking about why he quit working for DeSantis. Listen to this. Amazing.
Joining me now, former Reagan chief political advisor Ed Rollins, who stepped down from a pro-DeSantis PAC after coming to the conclusion that Governor DeSantis is a, quote, very flawed candidate. Ed, great to have you here.
Thank you. It's nice to be with you.
What makes DeSantis so flawed?
Well, there's nothing wrong with being a governor, and obviously he's got some strong opinions. But being a candidate out in particularly Iowa and New Hampshire presidential campaigns are totally different. And it's about going out and talking to people. It's not about preaching to people. You got to talk to them. And instead of going out and preaching the culture value to people in Iowa, you ought to say, tell us about your school system. Are you happy with your school system? What do you want? Culture just is not the key thing. What's the key thing there is farming, proper cost of wheat, corn, gas, all those kinds of things. And political people, particularly in places like Iowa, New Hampshire, they expect you to come out and listen to them.
Okay. Now, the Iowa, New Hampshire, when these early primary states are very accustomed to these presidential candidates coming there. So what he's saying is he's going there preaching this. I'm against woke and this and that, as opposed to saying, hey, what's your name? What do you do for a living? What do you need? What's wrong?
He cannot win on an anti-woke agenda. I mean,
with Disney.
People, it's not a top priority in people's lives. You know what I mean? It's really not. It's people, like he said, in that area, farming. You have to know, like Trump goes to Pennsylvania or goes to Virginia, he knows it's coal, it's steel, this is what they care about. It's like what runs that state.
What Ed Rollins is saying, and he'll get into some more detail, is Ron DeSantis. This explains why he's going down in the polls of these states where he's meeting people. he doesn't ask them about them.
No.
He just goes there and talks about himself.
He talks at them, not to them.
Did you ever tell him that? Did you share your concerns?
No, I shared it with some of the people on the staff. I was involved in the super PAC, so we can't have coordination. We can't talk. So, and I'm not sure you'd listen to what I told him. It didn't make any difference. He's got good, smart people around him, but I think it's him and everybody who's told me since I've been involved. And people say, I traveled all the way to Israel. Other members of Congress never said a word. He's just not a natural.
Did you hear that?
Oh my God!
I don't know how long it took him to fly to Israel. Hours and hours, all day. And it's a day trip each way. He didn't say a word to the people on the plane, on the flight, all the way to Israel.
Strange.
I've heard this about him.
Friendly.
I've heard this about him, that he doesn't really talk to people. Remember, there was one guy who sat next to him for 2 years in Congress, said he never said a word to him.
He's in the wrong business. I mean, if you want to be a politician, you have to be willing to talk to people.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, that's just a given. You cannot be insular and just be on an island by yourself and expect people to vote for you. You got to make those connections.
Absolutely.
And unfortunately, I have nothing against him as a governor. I think we've got some great governors that are running for president, but I just don't think he's the guy that's going to beat Trump. And Trump at this point in time is stronger than he's ever been.
So DeSantis is not, it sounds like you're saying, exactly a people person.
He's not a people person.
Do you think he's open to...
Yeah, that's not good.
You can't run for office and win and not be a people person. This is the reason he won and was reelected as governor is because he was on Trump's coattails.
Exactly.
Right? He had Trump's gravitas. He had Trump's, going for him. But now that he's not on Trump's coattails, he's out there on his own. Nobody likes him, and he's done.
Well, what he's saying is he's a good governor, and he is. He's enacted some good policies.
He's been a good governor,
but he's a bad campaigner. He's a bad.
He's
debater.
not a good governor lately. He hasn't been in Florida for a while.
But he was up until January. But very, very involved. I mean, really very involved with the state and traveled all over.
But he's abandoned us now.
He has. Before that he was fantastic. But he's not a good campaigner. He doesn't make those connections. And clearly that's obvious when he was campaigning before. He wasn't going anywhere. And Trump had to come in and throw a big life preserver
So
around.
back to this, Ed Rollins today.
Criticism?
No. At least everything I hear he's not. So, and he makes dumb.
That he said he's not open to criticism.
Oh.
So he can't take criticism from people. He knows everything.
He's got a fragile ego.
Is he a millennial? He's close to a millennial. He must be a millennial. He can't take criticism.
I think he's right on the cusp.
He's on the cusp.
Like 45. I think he's on the cusp of Gen Z and millennial.
Yeah, well, he leans millennial.
Yeah.
Controlling the budget is a very important part of a campaign. He raised a lot of money early on. You don't lay off a third of your staff a week before you can announce in Iowa. You wait a couple weeks. You spread them out. You do something with them. Send them home. But you don't basically, I arrive, I'm going to run in Iowa. I haven't been managing my budget. I got to lay off a third of my people. People say, well, this is the job you're running for is about management.
Okay, so
oh my gosh,
everything about DeSantis' campaign is a disaster, according to Ed Rollins. And what he's saying here is, if you can't manage your budget of your campaign, how are you going to manage the largest economy in the world as president? Right?
I've seen people that have worked with Trump and that have done interviews that have worked with him in his business and in politics. And they've all said the same thing. And people that know him personally, they said he's a very good listener.
Yeah.
And he's open to constructive criticism. He's very open-minded. And if you present him with a different option or a different point of view, he really thinks about it and he has no problem switching gears.
That's right.
That's how you're successful in life. But if you're hell-bent and have such tunnel vision.
You know everything.
Where you just cannot, you're not going to go very far.
Now, before I play the rest of Ed Rollins, this is beautiful, and it gets worse for DeSantis. I want to tell you guys about MyPillow. MyPillow has been with us here on the program for years. Kathy and I have all of these MyPillow products that we talk about. You can take advantage of all the specials at MyPillow.com with our promo code KANE at checkout, KANE. I want to talk about the MyPillow 2.0 with cooling technology. This is amazing. Kathy and I have been sleeping on our MyPillow 2.0 with cooling technology since February. We got it the Wednesday after I got back from the cruise. They are buy one, get one free. It has the same patented fill inside as the MyPillow that started it all, but the material on the outside is made with cooling technology so that the pillow is always the perfect temperature for you. You will never turn the pillow over again looking for the cool side. And during this heat wave of the summer, it is just perfect. And you've told me, Kathy, that the MyPillow 2.0 with cooling technology is perfect for women that have menopause.
Absolutely. Mm-hmm. You wake up, those hot flashes are horrible, and you just feel like you're going to die. And honestly, when you're sleeping, they're much worse. That's when they hit you. And there's nothing worse than waking up in a pool of sweat and throwing all the covers off. If you have the pillow, the cooling pillow and the topper, you will have zero problems. You'll be cool and comfy all night long. You'll sleep so much better.
And the MyPillow,
worthy investment.
The MyPillow 2.0 with cooling technology, I immediately realized how great it was, and then I got kind of used to it. And then one night, I slept on one of the regular pillows and not the 2.0 with cooling technology, and I could tell the difference. It's like night and day.
Especially in the summer, you really notice it.
You are like Goldilocks. So go to mypillow.com. Order your MyPillow 2.0. It's buy one, get one free with the promo code Kane at checkout, Kane. All right, so let me get back to this. This is Ed Rollins talking about why he quit DeSantis' campaign and how he's a bad candidate. This is the over. This is
the death blow.
This is over for the DeSantis campaign.
Because once he comes out and says this, everybody's going to jump ship.
Well,
they're not going to want to be associated with this guy anymore.
And Ed Rollins, all the way back to Reagan, he's got the connections to he's the kind of guy that those donors listen to.
Exactly.
So
that's what I'm saying.
The money's done. There's no more money coming to DeSantis.
And a lot of other things. So to me, everything he's kind of done is just, he's not a bad guy. He's a good guy. We've got lots of good guys running for the presidency, but you're not going to beat Trump.
Was that the moment that made you not want to be involved anymore with the PAC?
It was a big part of it. I heard rumblings before that the staff was being blamed and all the rest of it. And having been a staff person all my life, it's the candidate, and the candidates that have done well in Iowa and New Hampshire, people like Ronald Reagan, his personal, Barack Obama, Bill Clinton, and it's not about how good of governors they were. It's what they can basically relate to people. And he doesn't relate to people well.
So who do you support now?
I'll support the Republican nominee.
Anyone?
Well, whoever goes through this process.
Even Donald Trump, because you had previously left working with Donald Trump.
Yes, the tragedy of Donald Trump is that if Donald Trump would have walked away the day after the election and basically said, okay, I'm going to challenge everything, and when I lose the challenges, if I do, I'll run against again, he'd be 30 points ahead. It's the activity since then. He hasn't been able to talk about what he did as president.
Okay, now here he's off a little bit because Trump is way ahead, but what Ed Rollins is saying is that he will support Trump. If Trump's the nominee, he will support Trump. And Trump is so far ahead. There's not a poll that he's not at least 30 points ahead in right now, Donald Trump, against all the other Republicans. So this is it for Ron DeSantis. Ed Rollins.
I agree.
The donors are going to dry up.
Well, they're having the debate this month, the first debate.
Yeah.
And, like you had talked about before, not everybody has seen DeSantis debate. We have because he was running in Florida.
It's awful.
And we watched the debates every time because we were voting. And we would have voted for him anyway. But the nation hasn't really seen him debate.
Oh, it's
really bad.
He's the worst.
He's like a deer in the headlights. He makes weird facial expressions. And Brian and I have said this all along. This is not new. Even when we were on the DeSantis train, or whatever we want to call it, before he betrayed Trump, we said he is not a good debater. That's his Achilles heel, and it's very true. And Chris Christie is going to – the only thing that is his saving grace, because Chris Christie is a bulldog when it comes to debates, is if they all get up there and attack Trump, then they will spare DeSantis the humiliation. But if they get up there and attack each other, DeSantis is really in trouble. Mm-hmm. So that's his saving grace. If they get up there and go after Trump, which would be a mistake because Trump probably won't even be there. But that was the only thing that saves him. But if they go after him, he's in trouble. It's not that he doesn't have a good record. He does. But he just is not good when he's confronted. He gets awkward. He starts to squirm. His body language just gives him away. He can't stay calm. He starts to twitch. It's really, you see him coming unglued right in front of you. It's really an incredible thing to see. When he debated Charlie Crist,
he's a weirdo.
Charlie Crist destroyed him in that debate. The only reason he didn't win is because he has horrible ideas, and DeSantis at the time was with Trump. So he didn't have a chance. He beat him by 20 points, which was huge. But Charlie Crist, we watched the debate with him, and I'm like, wow, he is really bad. I mean, he's just really bad at debating. He's just not comfortable. Yeah. I think he's just not comfortable around people in general. And there are people like that. But like I said, he's in the wrong line of work. He should have stayed a lawyer and just stayed in an office somewhere doing paperwork. Well,
you know what happened? You know what
I'm sure he's intelligent, but he's just not good with people.
This is where DeSantis went wrong. He should have just stayed on the Trump train. He could have been on Trump's coattails forever, but he and his wife started doing this president, first lady cosplay thing. And
I knew at his inauguration, I knew when she came out looking like Jackie Kennedy with the white gloves. You laughed at me, and I said to you, she thinks she's the first lady of the country. Look how she's dressed. This is a state inauguration. This isn't the inauguration of the president, but she's dressed like Melania and Jackie Kennedy. And I said, this guy's going to run for president. His wife has got it in her head.
Yeah.
She wants to, she's like Jill Biden. She wants it more than anything. I could tell by the way she dressed on that day. Google it. She looked ridiculous. And other people made comments on Twitter how she was like pretending to be the first lady of the United States. She was overdressed.
And then last year,
it was ridiculous.
When we had the hurricanes hit the Gulf Coast in Florida, he had a press conference, DeSantis, and his wife was there. And he kept referring to her as the first lady. Yeah. I've never heard a governor of Florida continually refer to their wife as the first lady.
I've heard them call the first lady of the state, but he does it a lot.
I've heard it referenced. The first lady of Florida is here. But he kept saying, the first lady this, the first lady that. He calls her the first lady.
Right.
And I just thought that was a little much. Listen, we're going to take a quick break. Don't go anywhere. We've only just begun. I'm Brian Craig, always joined by my wife and co-host Kathy. We'll be right back.
Have you dreamed of starting a successful online business but didn't know how or even where to begin? If you're ready to turn your dreams of a successful online business into reality, look no further. Introducing How to Start an Online Business, your ultimate guide to navigating the exciting world of online commerce. This comprehensive resource is designed to equip aspiring entrepreneurs just like you with the knowledge, tools, and strategies needed to launch and grow your digital venture. From idea to successful launch, How to Start an Online Business provides step-by-step guidance and valuable insights at every stage of your entrepreneurial journey. It's packed with actionable tips, real-life case studies, and expert advice from successful online entrepreneurs. How to Start an Online Business is more than just theory. It's a practical resource that empowers you to make informed decisions and overcome obstacles. No matter your background or experience level, this book can help you harness the power of the internet and create your digital empire. Visit etechecommerce.com/opt-in for a free video and ebook on how to start an online business. etechecommerce.com/opt-in and begin your journey to online entrepreneurship. etechecommerce.com/opt-in. The new book from author William Thien is now available on Amazon and BarnesandNoble.com. The Dream Chip. In The Dream Chip, meet David O'Rourke, an intelligence agent turned uploader for the Timelink Corporation, a futuristic technology company. His mission? Capture the thoughts and memories of the deceased and store them in the Will of Memories, a protected vault of supercomputers. But there's more to the Timelink Corporation than meets the eye. They're also the creator of the Common Council software program, which empowers citizens to have a say in government decisions. This revolutionary system threatens the power of a group known as the Civocrats, who are determined to maintain their control at any cost. As tensions rise, their leader organizes a mob to attack the Timelink Corporation. The fate of the future is hanging in the balance. The Dream Chip takes you on an adventure filled with technology, political intrigue, and the power of human memory. Order your copy right now on Amazon and BarnesandNoble.com. The Dream Chip from author William Thien, and uncover the secrets that lie within. Robert Allen Miltenberg invites you to time travel with him to the Roman future. His new novella, available at Amazon.com and Barnes & Noble. It's the golden age of Rome, a time of peace and prosperity. And Scadius Commodius Lavatorius is its greatest scientist. But for all he's achieved, one question haunts him. Will Rome survive the test of time? There's only one way to find out. Come along on this cosmic romp of an adventure. See if you can read the signs any better than a brilliant scientist can. Prediction, science fiction, allegory, story, national glory? This is a satire at its most gladiatorial. Center stage in the Circus Maximus of your mind. A story of time machines and timeless politics, strange Roman cuisine and gambling parlor tricks, spinning gold and crossing the river Styx. That's the Roman Future. Available on Kindle and paperback. Go to Amazon or Barnes & Noble now and visit The Roman Future by Robert Allen Miltenberg today. In the new book from author John Meldum, Pangea, available on Amazon, meet Richard. He's an American who recently embarked on a new life in London. His biggest worry? Surviving and paying his bills on a meager salary. Little did he know, his world was about to change forever. An invasion of unknown alien forces shakes the earth. It was just the beginning. Drawn into a whirlpool of galactic politics, he finds himself in a web of intrigue where secrets are hidden and betrayal is just a step away. Will he rise to the challenges that lie ahead? Or will his name be forgotten in the annals of history alongside countless others? Find out when you read Pangea, a science fiction detective novel from author John Meldum. Available on Amazon. Order your copy right now and transport yourself to a future where humanity's wildest dreams have come true and choices must be made. Pangea from author John Meldum on Amazon.
You are listening to the Brian Craig Show podcast, broadcasting from sunny South Florida. Brian is joined by his wife and co-host, Kathy. Follow Brian on social media at briancraigshow.com. And now, Brian and Kathy.
Welcome back, everyone. I'm Brian, always joined by my wife and co-host Kathy. Okay, we got some comments from President Trump today now this, I wanted to read this comment actually on Truth Social from a couple days ago, okay? And President Trump retruthed this today. And he made this comment on Truth Social like 2 or 3 days ago, but I guess it got kind of buried. And he retruthed this because, they got the maintenance man out on bail now from Mar-a-Lago.
I think he started a legal fund, defense fund for those two guys.
Yeah. So this is what President Trump retruthed his own truth, okay? And every letter is in caps. Which, the significance of that. Mar-a-Lago security, this is President Trump. Mar-a-Lago security tapes were not deleted.
Of course not.
He says this, were not deleted. They were voluntarily handed over to the thugs headed up by deranged Jack Smith. We did not even go to court to stop them from getting these tapes. I never told anybody to delete them. Prosecutorial fiction and misconduct. So, yeah. So
basically, they're just making things up.
Well, and also, listen, President Trump's so smart. I remember I have a recollection of this. You guys listening can let me know if I'm right about this, because my recollection when the break-in of Mar-a-Lago happened, Eric Trump, who really, he's running the Trump organization now out of New York, it seems to me.
I think so, yeah.
Yeah. I was up at Mar-a-Lago coming home one day, driving or going down the sidewalk on my little mini MAGA scooter, and I crossed the street and Eric Trump was sitting there behind the wheel of his car at the red light, just
That's
sitting there.
crazy.
I was like, oh,
what
my
kind of car
goodness.
do you know?
I do know.
What?
I'm not going to say. Yeah, I don't think they want me to tell people their cars. But
he was driving?
He was driving.
Was it a sports car?
No, it was not. It was a very nice car.
Wow.
It was an SUV, and he was in the car alone.
Wow.
And I'm like, oh my gosh.
That's crazy.
Eric Trump. I mean, it was pretty amazing.
That is wild.
I know. Isn't that pretty cool?
It's pretty cool we live so close to them.
But I remember that when the break-in at Mar-a-Lago happened, I remember reading that Eric Trump got notified in New York. And I just have this vague memory that they had the ability in New York to see live the security at Mar-a-Lago. That just seemed like a thing to me. I thought I heard that. I can't. If anybody remembers the details of that. But if you remember, the FBI, when they broke in, told the Trump people at Mar-a-Lago to turn off the surveillance. Remember that? They told them, and they said no.
That's right.
And now, but even though we heard that story, they told them to turn it off and they said no. We don't know who won that argument, right? Like, did the FBI go in and unplug everything? We don't know. So this is an interesting thing here. If it is possible that the FBI shut down the surveillance because when they broke in, they might have gotten into that server room and might have unplugged everything or turned it off. Who knows?
Yeah.
And this is fascinating because it is very possible there is a dead spot in the recording of the surveillance video. And if there is, I'm not saying there is, but if there is, I think they'll find the FBI unplugged everything and they're the ones that shut it down.
Yeah, the truth always comes out.
When they went in. But
what they're trying to do is they know they're lying. And Rob Schmidt had tweeted, how do these people sleep at night? And, it's because they're knowingly lying. And I don't mean like the sycophantic, liberal, useful idiots like on The View. They don't know what's going on. They're just going to toe the party line. Mm-hmm. But people in the swamp and the DOJ, they know they're lying. They really believe that the ends justifies the means. And they don't care about the will of the people. They only care about keeping Trump out of office, whatever it takes. They're thugs. I mean, this is how they operate. So I'm sure they sleep very well because they really feel that what they're doing is for the greater good. They really see Donald Trump as he is a danger to them and their operations. So their whole goal is that, but I think they're going to overcharge. Obviously they have already, just keep charging and charging with things to kind of try to sway public opinion. But this is all going to fall apart in the end, and it doesn't matter because Trump said he will still run even if he gets convicted. Well, he will still run. He can run the country from that. I don't think he'll go to jail, but he would do it if he had to.
We don't know a lot about the surveillance video.
The guy can do anything.
No, we don't know a lot about the surveillance video at Mar-a-Lago. My guess is that it's very high tech and is digital. I find it hard to believe that the Trump organization did not turn over the security footage without having a copy of their own.
I'm sure they completely complied with everything.
No. But I mean, they had to have had. I doubt that they gave them the only copy. They had to have made a copy for themselves. Right. Okay, and I'm also assuming that the surveillance has audio, but some of these areas probably don't have. Some of the private areas are probably a little different. But
they might not have audio. You can turn it on or off.
Yeah, this is going to be amazing. And I now that President Trump has, with 100% said no deletions.
Yeah,
I mean, this is and it's true. What they do is they come up with these lies and put him in positions like they got this new racket they're running that he spent campaign cash on his legal defense. I don't know if that's true or not, but a lot of these Republicans like Chris Christie are demanding that he pay back the money and everything. First off, I don't know that that's true or not. But even if it is, people that give money to President Trump do not mind if he is spending the campaign money on these defense. But look at what they've done, right? They got court cases going against him in multiple jurisdictions around America. And then they criticize him for putting up a legal defense. Are you kidding me?
What's he supposed to do?
Exactly.
And how much of our money have they spent trying to prosecute him?
Exactly. Think of the two impeachments. They spent more prosecuting him.
The investigations
than he's spending on his defense.
Oh, probably up to $100 million.
And they're using government money to prosecute him,
we're paying for,
which is really a part of a political campaign and illegal. They weaponized the government.
Give me a break.
Yeah. So then President Trump just a few minutes ago posted the latest Republican primary poll. This is a national poll, and it's from Interactive Polls.
Yes.
And there's one guy on here who I don't even know who he is. Hurd. Anybody know who Hurd is? He's at 1%. Burgum, I've seen him around, but Hurd, I can't remember what he looks like. But this is the latest poll, Interactive Polls. President Trump, just a few minutes ago, posted this on Truth Social. Trump is in the lead. He has 58%. 58%. He's 43 points ahead of the number 2, which is Ron DeSantis. Ron DeSantis is at 15, Ramaswamy at 9, Pence at 7. Who are these 7%ers supporting Pence? And then Haley Scott and Christie, all three of them are at 3%. Burgum and Hurd are at 1.
Okay, when you're done, I want to play this clip of DeSantis Trump just truthed.
Okay, so when you look at this is the latest poll. He is 43 points ahead. And let me tell you, there's nothing worse that could come out about President Trump. They've arrested him. They're going to arrest him again.
Absolutely.
They've had porn stars.
They've had
they're arresting his maintenance people. He's
getting more and more popular.
Yeah, they're running. There's nothing they could concoct that could be worse than what they've thrown at him already.
Because people, I'm starting to regain faith in the American people. People see that this is a witch hunt, and they see, because the truth has come out about other things that they've tried to pull over the 7 years, and people are realizing they're being lied to.
Yeah.
Okay, I don't know what this is, but Trump just truthed this.
Well, if he truthed it, it must be good.
So let's play it.
I want to thank him for what he's done for our military. I want to thank him for what he has done to stand by our veterans. I want to thank him for what he's done for our economy. Trump has almost the entire media against him. Fake news day after day after day.
Wow.
He's facing opposition unlike any other president we've seen. And he is standing tall for us. I think even his worst critic would say he's been somebody that has been determined to keep the promises he made. Donald Trump wrote the art of the deal. He knows how to negotiate. And I think that Donald Trump has done a better job appointing judges to both the U.S. Supreme Court and the Appeals Court than any other president in my lifetime, including one of my heroes, Ronald Reagan. So God bless Donald Trump for doing that. Is this Trump country or what?
Wow, that's great.
Donald J. Trump, and I approve this message.
Yeah, I approve it
His
too.
new ad, holy crap.
That's a great ad. So
that just came out.
So Ron DeSantis has endorsed President Trump.
That is a brilliant. I don't know who's working for Trump in his ads, but they're the best ads I've ever seen. You guys got to get on Truth. He posts them all the time in his feed.
Yeah.
They're some of the best. He did one on Biden the other day. It's all in black and white, and it shows him going up and down stairs and falling. He does some of the best ads now. He's got great people doing them. Well, that's a good one.
That ad is so good. The title of the podcast is going to be that. This is what the title and this is what the thumbnail on YouTube is going to be for this podcast episode, and the title on the podcast platforms: Ron DeSantis endorses Trump.
That's a great one.
How do you like that?
Sometimes you guys don't know this. Sometimes we change the thumbnail in the middle of the show. Something comes out. See, we're on the cusp of all the breaking. During the show, Brian and I are constantly checking social media, Truth, Twitter, Facebook, online, Daily Mail, all the stuff, New York Post. We're constantly checking during the show in real time in case anything breaks, anything happens. And there's many times you'll make a thumbnail and it's the story we start with, like with Bannon, and then something will happen and you'll be like, oh, we're going to change the thumbnail to this.
This is what
that's why sometimes the story with the thumbnails at the end of the show.
This is what I do.
Yeah.
Okay. I usually come up with, I do the show prep, so I got some ideas on what we're going to talk about, and I usually say, okay, this is going to be the title of the show, and I'll make a thumbnail before we start the show. And the reason I do that on the podcast is whatever the title of the thumbnail is, I try to start with that, because I hate when I'm watching a YouTube video or listening to a podcast, and what the title or thumbnail is about, they don't get to it until the very end of the podcast or the video. So I try to start with that. But in this instance, I'm going to put this is what the thumbnail is going to be.
Yeah.
It's going to be.
It's too good.
DeSantis
endorses Trump.
Well, that's what I think I'm going to have to do this just so people know. DeSantis endorses Trump 2024. And then parentheses, I'll put not clickbait.
Not clickbait.
Because that sounds great.
He's just the gift that keeps on giving. I mean, every day he's just a bumbler. I mean, it's really shocking to me because I thought he was such a cool guy.
This is this thing. I was talking about this on the stream this morning. This is what people don't understand. I know MAGA people understand this, but people that aren't MAGA, this campaign is like none other. All these other people running for the Republican nomination are either just Trump haters like Chris Christie, grifters like Mike Pence, who's doing this just to make money. There's a lot of money to be made being running for president.
True.
Or people that are trying to elevate themselves in some way. DeSantis is trying to elevate himself because he's not wealthy, so he's trying to get rich. Think about that. He's doing what Biden did. He's trying to elevate himself in the ranks of politics so he can be wealthy. That's not what you want in a politician. Or Ramaswamy, who wants to be a part of the national dialogue and wants to have a seat at the table of the thing, so he's running, gives him a credit. That's all nuts. Donald Trump is the only person that can change anything and get things in this country back on track and get control of this country away from these evil doers that think that we're slaves.
Plus, I think a lot of people, especially MAGA, but I think a lot of people see what's happening to Trump and what has happened to him and what's continuing to happen. And I think they want to give this guy a chance at redemption. Not that he needs it, but they want him to come out, and everybody in America loves, a comeback kid and a second chance. And Trump is the ultimate comeback kid. I mean, the guy, he's come back from so many things. He never gives up. He never stops. And that's how he's been in business. And not everything he's done has been a super success, but it doesn't stop him. He just moves on to the next thing. And people want that. And I think people, like I've said many times, he has become a folk hero. America loves folk heroes. We have a ton of them in our culture throughout time. And America loves that. And this is the American story. You got a guy who is the son of immigrants, made a huge success of himself, and then became the president. He's just a regular guy that people can relate to. He's super wealthy, but he's still super down to earth and nice.
Oh, yeah.
And everybody they've interviewed that's ever worked for him has all said that worked in his hotels, that he's a super nice guy. He knew everybody's name. He's likable, and he's genuine and sincere. And I think people want to see a comeback with this guy, and they feel it's owed to him. They feel he deserves it after all the shit he has been through from these people. I think even people that weren't on the MAGA train at first, they're like, you know what? They're beating this guy down. They're trying to so much. This guy deserves a second shot. We need to give it to him.
I want to play this new Trump ad that you found on Trump's True Social, Kathy, before we break. I love this ad.
Great.
I want to thank him for what he's done to fight terrorism. I want to thank him for what he's done for our military. I want to thank him for what he has done to stand by our veterans. I want to thank him for what he's done for our economy. Trump has almost the entire media against him. Fake news day after day after day. He's facing opposition unlike any other president we've seen. And he is standing tall for us. I think even his worst critic would say he's been somebody that has been determined to keep the promises he made. Donald Trump wrote The Art of the Deal. He knows how to negotiate it. And I think that Donald Trump has done a better job appointing judges to both the U.S. Supreme Court and the Appeals Court than any other president in my lifetime, including one of my heroes, Ronald Reagan. So God bless Donald Trump for doing that. Is this Trump country or what? I'm Donald J. Trump, and I approve this message.
Yeah, and I approve that message,
that
too.
That ending line,
that's awesome.
Is this Trump country or what? Yeah. That is the best way to end that ad. It is Trump country.
Beautiful.
It really is amazing how bad his instincts are. I don't know who convinced him to run for president.
His wife.
And him. It was a colossal miscalculation. He's a young man. For the life of me, I will never understand how his ability to misread a situation. And the same thing with this Disney. Now Disney is going to pull $1 billion worth of spending in our state because of the stupid war. And at first I was all for it, but it just got too far. It got ridiculous. His instincts are not good.
No, they're not.
It's bad decisions.
Now, listen, we're going to take our last break. When we come back, there's a lot more. Man, this podcast is flying by. There's just so much great stuff going on. I'm Brian, always joined by my wife and co-host Kathy. We'll be back right after this.
The new young adult fantasy book, The Phantom Crusaders, Creation, from author Habi Abaid, is available on Amazon. This must-read book is an extraordinary journey through a day that starts casually, but quickly takes a wild turn. From arguing with his brother to facing a taxi driver and being chased by a giant gremlin, this is a day that's about to change forever. With its fast-paced narrative, The Phantom Crusaders, Creation will keep you on the edge of your seat. Get ready for an adventure beyond your wildest imagination. And order your copy of The Phantom Crusaders, Creation, from author Habi Abaid on Amazon, and embark on a thrilling adventure and witness the birth of heroes in a world filled with mystery and wonder. Don't miss out on the action and excitement. Order your copy right now. Calling all young adventurers and curious minds. Get ready for a learning experience like no other with Teaching Time for Kids, interactive learning for 6 to 10-year-olds from author Mai Lee. Available now on Amazon. Learning is an exciting journey, and this book will take you on new adventures filled with fun facts and quizzes at the end of each section. Quizzes aren't just for school. They challenge your comprehension skills and help you retain essential knowledge throughout your academic years. With this fun book, you'll discover amazing animals, volcanoes, different types of weather, and more. Plus, discover the fascinating stories of former U.S. presidents and the world of sports. This book is just the beginning of your learning quest. Stay curious and open-minded to find the fun in all information. Grab your copy now and begin an educational adventure the whole family will enjoy together. Teaching Time for Kids, interactive learning for 6 to 10-year-olds from author Mai Lee, where learning becomes a thrilling experience. Available in paperback, ebook, and audiobook on Amazon. Order your copy right now. Are you ready for an inspiring tale of resilience and rebuilding? From author Ken Skelton comes the children's book After the Storm. Hurricane Ian, Jenny the Jeep, and Smiley help rebuild Sanibel is now available on Amazon. It's the year 2022. Smiley, a retired handyman, had no idea that a hurricane named Ian would bring him back into action as Florida, including beautiful Sanibel Island, suffered from the devastating aftermath. One woman named Jenny, owner of a construction and remodeling business, stepped up to the challenge. The government mobilized forces like the Coast Guard, the National Guard, and local police and sheriff departments for search, rescue, and rebuilding efforts. But Jenny didn't stop there. Leading her own team, she rallied skilled workers, including electricians, plumbers, tile installers, carpenters, painters, and many more. Together, they became the silent heroes of the storm, working tirelessly to repair Jenny's business and the homes of her clients. From darkness and destruction emerged a glimmer of hope, a journey that will keep you on the edge of your seat. This book is perfect for parents, grandparents, and teachers for classroom reading. After the Storm, Hurricane Ian, Jenny the Jeep, and Smiley help rebuild Sanibel from author Ken Skelton is available on Amazon. Order your copy right now. The new book from author William Thien is now available on Amazon and BarnesandNoble.com. The Dream Chip. In The Dream Chip, meet David O'Rourke, an intelligence agent turned uploader for the Timelink Corporation, a futuristic technology company. His mission, capture the thoughts and memories of the deceased and store them in the Will of Memories, a protected vault of supercomputers. But there's more to the Timelink Corporation than meets the eye. They're also the creator of the Common Council software program, which empowers citizens to have a say in government decisions. This revolutionary system threatens the power of a group known as the Civocrats, who are determined to maintain their control at any cost. As tensions rise, their leader organizes a mob to attack the Timelink Corporation. The fate of the future is hanging in the balance. The Dream Chip takes you on an adventure filled with technology, political intrigue, and the power of human memory. Order your copy right now on Amazon and BarnesandNoble.com. The Dream Chip from author William Thien, and uncover the secrets that lie within.
You are listening to The Brian Craig Show podcast, broadcasting from sunny South Florida. Brian is joined by his wife and co-host, Kathy. Follow Brian on social media at BrianCraigShow.com. And now, Brian and Kathy.
Welcome back, everyone. I'm Brian, always joined by my wife and co-host, Kathy. Thanks, everyone, for tuning in. And don't forget, everyone, make sure that you subscribe on whatever platform you're listening to us on, whether you're listening on a podcast platform or on YouTube. Make sure that you subscribe. And if you don't already follow me on YouTube, look me up, Brian Craig Show. Brian Craig Show on YouTube. I live stream every day of the week on YouTube. 7 days a week I live stream. And I take live calls from viewers on YouTube while I'm live streaming. We get great calls and a lot of interaction. Brian Craig Show on YouTube. I also upload the podcast on YouTube, and I do a lot of other things too. I vlog, and I like when I went to Turning Point, I made a very good vlog. Yep. You get to see behind the scenes, and I go to Mar-a-Lago, and I did a great vlog a while back. I went up to where Melania goes shopping in the really fancy shops up in Palm Beach.
Good one.
You know,
Worth Avenue. I love that place.
Yeah, I went to the stores where Melania shops. So I do a lot of vlogs as well. But I live stream 7 days a week, taking live calls, Brian Craig Show on YouTube. Make sure you guys subscribe there. And so far as the podcast platforms, the Brian Craig Show podcast is on every podcast platform there is. So if you're driving in the car, you can put it on, listen on your Bluetooth.
Our podcast is really doing well. I mean, we're getting so many listens on YouTube and other platforms. It's crazy. Well, we've been doing it a long time.
And that's because of, all of you guys out here in the audience. And I notice what our listeners do, which we appreciate this a lot. This is an amazing thing. what listeners do is they tell all their friends about us.
That's right.
And that's a cool thing. And I appreciate you guys doing that.
Absolutely.
Okay. So I want to play this clip. This is the mayor of New York, Mayor Adams, today. Listen to this. This is great stuff.
Eventually, this was going to come to a neighborhood near you. Having someone embedded is a good start. That came from the Secretary of Homeland Security. We want to thank him. But I've been very clear on what we need. We need to control the border. We need to call a state of emergency, and we need to properly fund this national crisis.
Okay, so New York City has been a sanctuary city, and it's easy to be a sanctuary city when you're thousands of miles from the border. Yep. The southern border, because we don't have to worry about people flowing across Canada so much. And when Greg Abbott started shipping immigrants to New York and elsewhere, people thought it was a stunt. And look at what he's done. He's got the liberal, Democrat, BLM-loving mayor of New York City, Antifa-loving mayor of New York City, talking about securing the southern border. And,
Incredible.
And the reason he's talking about it is not so much that the city's being overwhelmed with people. That's a little bit of it, but they got a lot of empty space in New York City since so many people have left after all the lockdowns and everything. But the element they bring in, there's a lot of crime and things that come with it. And I've not mentioned in a while, but when I was a kid, a friend of the family of mine was murdered by two illegals from Mexico here in Florida, and it was a brutal murder. The guy was about 20 years old. He was older than me. He was friends with my cousins, who were like 5 years older than me at the time, and I was like 11 or 12. And he went to a convenience store, and they mugged him, clocked him in the head, threw him in his own car, drove him out in the middle of nowhere, beat him up, and left him beaten up in a ditch, and drove back home. And then they got scared that he could ID them, so they came back and ran him over a few times with the car, and he died the next morning. And that was like 1982, 3-ish, And that guy would be like 60 years old today with grandkids probably. And this was like 83. And I remember even then, that was here in Florida. It was in Belgrade, Florida. Everyone I remember, I was just a kid. I didn't really understand like I do now, but I remember everybody was saying they're going to go back to Mexico. They're never going to, and then they'll be back. Then they'll be back here like nothing happened, and they'll start all over.
It's been a broken system for a long time, but Trump was really the first one to come along and really get a hold of it. And I believe if he would have been able to do the extra 4 years consecutively, and didn't have so many roadblocks, but even if he did, I think he would have been able to finish the wall and really set in motion.
It was almost done.
Yeah, set in motion a better system. Nobody's against people coming here. Most of us are products
Melania's an immigrant.
But I'm
Kathy's mom's an immigrant.
Yeah, my mom is, and my great-grandparents came here from Italy. So I'm a product of immigrants, and we all are at some point. Nobody's against that, but you need a system.
Even the Indians.
You have to have, it's like a free-for-all. They just have a completely open border. I've never seen anything like it, where people are just walking in. There's no accountability. There's no checking. There's no nothing. They just come in and they go wherever the hell they want. And Trump is right. These countries, what they do is they encourage, they're probably emptying their prisons. And what he said, and they send them here like they did with England when they sent all the people to Australia.
They did that in the 80s. Castro did that with the Mario boat lift.
That's exactly right.
He emptied out the insane asylums and the prisons in Cuba and sent them here.
Right. They purged that bad element from their country, and they send them here, and they all come here. Because if they're criminals in Mexico, imagine the kind of money they can make here being criminals, transporting drugs and things like this. Is a land of opportunity, even for drug dealers.
It's so bad.
Drug traffickers.
Well, obviously, we know how bad it is at the southern border, and I'm glad to hear Adams talking about this. And this is going to get.
Yeah, he's been red-pilled.
This is amazing. Well, I wouldn't go that far, but
maybe a little.
But when our daughter moved to California, we shipped her car out there. She flew, and then we shipped her car, which I've never done anything like that before, and it was kind of a scary thing to do. Guy shows up at the house with a truck. You give him your car,
and go clear across country.
And they say they're going to take it to California. It's kind of like a sketchy kind of business, tell you the truth, the shipment of cars. But anyway, she wanted to drive, and we looked at the iMaps, And when you go through Texas, there's all these areas that are in red that are dangerous because of the border crossings.
El Paso in particular is right on the road.
Hundreds of miles. And I'm like, there's no way. She wasn't going to drive alone. But even if I was with her, there's no way. We're not going to go through there. It's too dangerous.
It is too. There's a long stretch in El Paso that's right on the border, and it's very dangerous there. So
I saw something.
There's no way we're going to do that.
Look at that. There's something you guys can look up on YouTube after you're done listening to this episode. A lot of you that watch on YouTube may be familiar with Casey Neistat. Casey Neistat's one of the most famous YouTubers. He has a brother named Van Neistat, who's a little eccentric and a little weird, okay, Van Neistat. But I watch his videos too. Van Neistat, he's Casey Neistat's brother. He drove to Mexico with his wife and daughter for like a weekend trip.
Yeah.
They crossed the border. They got, and he had a camera going because he's a YouTuber. They got pulled over by cartel guys with rifles who robbed them.
Yep, happens all the time.
And it was right there. I mean, I've never seen it as scary as could be. I've never seen anything like it. And I've been to Mexico quite a few times on our trips, but we go to the tourist areas of Mexico that are safe. We don't go to these kind of areas. And in Mexico, something like that, you don't even call the cops because that's just the way it is. And what's going on at the southern border, I'm not going to go through. You guys know what's going on, but there's been a big change. See, the border's been a problem for as long as we've been alive, but President Trump was the first person who said, okay, we're going to do something about it. As opposed to just talk about the problem, we're going to do something about it. And now the people like Adams and others understand, well, you know what? There can be something done with the southern border.
I think Abbott was so smart.
It was brilliant.
And this is something probably George Bush
maybe he could be Trump's running mate.
That'd be great.
Maybe he could.
I think that would be a great match.
Because I'll tell you, I know Abbott's not perfect and there's problems, but Abbott has kept the border issue problem front and center during these dark couple years of this senile old coots presidency that we've been suffering through.
Now he's got that barrier in the Rio Grande.
That's amazing what he's done.
He's really thinking outside the box, and he's really taking the bull by the horns.
He's floating things out in the river.
Yeah, and he's really trying to prevent people because Biden's making it so easy. They had people on the news. I remember they had reporters going down into Honduras and these countries.
Yeah.
And they would interview people that were on those caravans, and they told them, they're like, people are telling us to come. They're coming down here. They're like going down there and actively, people that are Americans working for who knows what, are actively going into South America and putting the word out for people, probably sending out flyers and pamphlets, come to America. We'll give you this. We'll give you that. So it's not just that they have an open border. They're actively recruiting people to come here and inviting them in. And that's what Biden is doing. I've never seen a president really do that.
Well,
and Abbott is actually doing things like shipping them to other states.
That's exactly right.
He's letting these people see firsthand. I mean, why the hell should Texas bear all the burden just because of the location?
Maybe Trump could take Abbott and make him the Homeland Security Secretary and put him in charge of finishing the wall.
That'd be perfect.
And getting that cleaned up.
That'd be perfect.
But see, what Trump did, people had been talking about the border for years, and I never talked about it too much. Steve K and I, we never talked about it too much. And a lot of times listeners would, why don't you talk about the border? And we would tell, nobody's going to do anything about it. No one's doing anything. This was before Trump, right? This is back when like George W. Bush was president and Clinton. No one's doing anything about it. Until there's somebody willing to do something, it's a waste of time. So that what Trump has done is let people know that there is something that can be done at the southern border because he's done it and he was almost completed at the southern border, and they stopped him, obviously.
And how brilliant is Trump that it's really interesting to me when he first came out down the escalator to announce he was running, and that was his main cause, was the border and how we needed a wall. I wonder how he came to that decision because, like you said, it wasn't like a hot issue that people really talked about as that much back then. And he made it a hot issue. And I wonder how he came to that decision to be like, this is going to be my cause. I'm going to build a wall. And everybody jumped on it, good or bad. It became the hottest issue.
Yeah.
What do you think made him decide?
I don't know, but it was.
I
don't know, but it was well,
brilliant.
You know what?
Brilliant.
There was a high profile case of that poor girl in San Francisco that got murdered by the illegal.
That's right.
And he got a slap on the wrist. Remember that?
So maybe just that.
And it was a big issue. I'm sorry, I cannot remember her name.
Kate.
Steinley
or something.
Yeah, I mean that was a big
awful.
That was a big issue in the news. So
that's true.
Maybe that had something to do.
Yeah.
Now I want to take a moment to thank our Patreon supporters for their support. And if you would like to support the program, becoming a patron of the program is a great way to do that. And if you'd like to support the program by becoming a patron, there's a link to our Patreon page in the description of every episode, as well as a direct link on my website, briancraigshow.com. And remember, all patrons have access to commercial-free editions of each and every podcast episode. And our top Patreon supporters get a live on-air thank you shout-out on every episode. So the names you hear now, these are our top Patreon supporters, okay? And I want to thank them all. I want to start by thanking Andrew and Connie, Christine, ETW, Chuck, D, Pamela, Rick, Nick, Wesley, Macho, Rome, Wisconsin, Mike P, Carlos, Paulette, John, Arctic Fox, Heather, David, Richard, and Melissa. These are our top Patreon supporters. Thank you all for your support. Well, that's all the time we have for today. I'm Brian Craig, always joined by my wife and co-host Kathy. Thanks, everyone, for tuning in, and we will talk to you next time.
Brace yourself for an unforgettable journey into the heart of heroism with From Flames to Valor, a firefighter's journey. The new book from professional firefighter, deputy chief, and author Jose L. Barrios. In Flames to Valor, step into the boots of a true hero as you traverse the world of firefighting, a world filled with danger, courage, and sacrifice. Follow along as they face roaring infernos, risking everything to save lives and protect their community. You'll witness the human side of heroism as they navigate through challenges, proving that true valor lies not in bravery, but in resilience. This must-read book will leave you breathless and inspired, reminding you that heroes are not born, but forged through determination and unwavering spirit. From Flames to Valor, a firefighter's journey, from author Jose L. Barrios, is available on Amazon and all major online booksellers. Order your copy today and experience the heart-stopping, heartwarming tale of what it truly means to be a hero. Order your copy right now.